A wild animal spends its whole life obeying one rule: stay away from humans. Then one day it gets caught, tangled, pinned, and it does something that rule should never allow. It goes still. It lets the most dangerous predator on the planet walk right up to it. We look at that and we tell ourselves a story. It knows I'm here to help. But does it? Can a wild animal actually tell the difference between a hand coming to save it and a hand coming to kill it? Or has it just run out of options and we're reading rescue into what is really only surrender? That's the question. And the honest answer is stranger than either one. Tonight, let's take it apart. You want it to be true. There's something about a wild thing choosing to trust us, specifically us, that lands somewhere deep, like being forgiven for something we didn't know we'd done. But wanting it doesn't make it real, and there's an uncomfortable possibility under all those rescue videos. When an animal stops fighting, that isn't always trust. Sometimes it's exhaustion. Sometimes it's an animal so overwhelmed it simply shuts down. Going still can mean I trust you. It can also mean I've given up. From the outside, on a phone screen, the two look almost the same. So before we make this beautiful, we have to be willing to make it honest. If there's something real here, it has to survive the hardest version of the question. Start with what we're really asking of them. For a wild animal, coming near a human isn't small. It may be the hardest thing it ever does. In 2023, a team led by Liana Zanet at Western University ran an experiment across the water holes of South Africa's Greater Kruger. Hidden speakers played sounds to animals coming to drink, lions growling, and humans, just people, talking calmly. The animals were about twice as likely to flee from the human voices. They abandoned the water holes 40% faster. Nearly 95% of species feared us more than they feared lions. Sit with that. We are not one predator among many. We are the predator. The most frightening sound in the wild is a calm human voice. So when a wild animal holds still and lets you close, understand what it's overriding. The oldest fear it owns. Now, can it read you at all? Take goats, not bred as a companion, a farm animal. In 2016, at Queen Mary University of London, researchers gave goats a box they couldn't open, and the goats turned and looked back at the person, then at the box, then back again. They looked longer and more often when the human was facing them. Turn away, and the looking faded. The goat was checking whether anyone was watching. Horses do it too. They'll go to the person whose eyes are open over the one who isn't looking. But the deepest case isn't an animal reading us. It's a wild animal recruiting us. In Mozambique, there's a bird called the honey guide. It wants beeswax, but it can't open a hive. So it finds something that can. It flies up to human honey hunters, calls, and leads them, tree to tree, all the way to a wild bee's nest. And the people answer. The Yao hunters have a specific sound, a trilled brouhaha, passed down for generations. In 2016, a scientist named Claire Spottiswoode tested it in the journal Science. That one call more than doubled the odds the bird would guide them, and more than tripled the odds they'd find a nest. Nobody trained this bird. Nobody kept it as a pet. It learned on its own that a certain human sound means a partner is ready. So, case closed? The animals understand us? Not so fast. Every one of these is real, and not one of them proves the thing we actually want proven. A goat that checks if you're watching isn't necessarily thinking this human cares about me. The honey guide isn't grateful. Reading a signal is not the same as reading a mind. An animal can learn that a sound or a face reliably leads to something good without ever understanding why you do it. It can respond to your kindness while having no concept of kindness at all. That sounds like a letdown. It isn't, because look at what's still standing. Maybe the animal in the trap isn't asking the big question, does this person want to save me? Maybe it's asking a smaller, faster one. The last thing this human did it make things better or worse? And then the next move, and the next. That is not blind instinct. Instinct says, human, run. This is something overriding instinct. One animal watching one specific person in real time, letting each move update its answer. It's still afraid, it just hasn't stopped reading you. Which brings me to a lagoon in southern Brazil. In the town of Laguna, wild dolphins and human fishers have hunted together for more than 140 years. The fishers stand waist deep in cloudy water, nets ready. They can't see the fish, so they watch the dolphins. The dolphins drive the fish toward the nets, and then one of them gives a signal, a sudden dive, a roll, now, and the fishers throw. In 2023, a 15-year study in the journal PNAS measured it. Working together, the fishers caught nearly 4 times the fish, and the dolphins who cooperate live longer, a 13% better chance of survival. But here's the part that stays with me. Nobody built this. It isn't in the dolphins' genes, it's a tradition. Learned and taught and handed down on both sides. Young dolphins learn it socially. Fishers pass the knowledge from one generation to the next, and the fishers know the dolphins, not dolphins. These dolphins, they can tell them apart. They have names for the ones who come back, year after year, to work the water beside them. They even have a phrase for them, the good ones. 2 species, with every reason to fear each other, quietly deciding, one individual at a time, to stay. So, Can a wild animal tell you're trying to save it? Here's the most honest answer science can give. Probably not the way you mean it. It likely has no word for rescue, no concept of sacrifice, no idea what it cost you. But it can tell, sometimes in the moment, whether the creature in front of it is making things better or worse. And some of them, the honey guide, the dolphin, maybe the frightened thing that went still under your hands. Some of them can look at one specific human, override a fear older than memory, and decide, just this once, to stay. We used to think that gap between them and us was uncrossable. That understanding stopped at the edge of our own species. Every year the research says otherwise. The line is thinner than we thought. Something is meeting us partway. You don't need to share a language to be understood. You never did. Sometimes it's just one creature deciding you're worth staying near. So if you're lying awake tonight, feeling like nothing out there really sees you, remember the lagoon, trust, across an impossible distance, turned out to be real. You are easier to read than you feel. And that isn't a warning, it's company. Sleep well.